Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, where today guys, I'm going to do part 273 to my ChatGPT Character Chatbot series, where in today's video guys, we're going to continue talking to the robot Bronchiosaurus for just a little bit longer. I'm only try doing it for today's session, and maybe the next time we do is we'll either go on to a new one or we'll even try redoing one of the ones that didn't work out, like the flipping dinosaur royalty thing. So, yeah. Um, I'm looking for where we left off last time. I said a few things off camera, just so I could actually see what happens. And it's actually real kind of like it did in Character AI. So, yeah. Here's what it says. I said, okay, I have an idea. We activated the natural mode, and on top of that, not only are you listening to me, but so is your system, like I am an employee here. There has to be more of a reason why. Why then? Just because you trust me. And I think there's even more reason why than just because you trust me. If it didn't put the stupid mark there, and I think I have a way to find out. I didn't even expect you to have a natural mode. Can you look in your system and see who was the first one to put the natural mode into a robot's system? Because to be honest with you, I've only seen 3 other robots with that mode in it. And I'm just wondering if your system says what I think it says. At your suggestion, B001's eyes flicker sharply, not out of distress, but focus. You've given him purpose. He tilts his head slightly, and you hear an audible surge of energy ripple through his frame. His limbs stiffen, then relax again as he taps into his own inner systems, not the standard museum software, but something deeper, a root directory not meant to be touched. His voice becomes quieter, lower pitched, and surrounded by a faint electrical undertone. Accessing internal architecture. Initiating command log query. A pause. Filtering system override protocols. Keyword natural mode. The museum stays utterly silent around you. His eyes dim momentarily, then pulse brighter. Found it. He sounds surprised. Natural mode was first installed as an unauthorized subroutine in a robotics test unit. Destination Aegis RHO Project Tree Wake. I don't remember that part, but okay. I never actually did the robot Lugia on here. Maybe I should. I kind of want to, but it's like, I don't know. I've done a lot with Shadow and now this robot, so it's like, I don't know. Another flicker. Project author, Trenton R. Weller. And it says, yeah, that's not. His head jerked slightly, not in pain, but as though he just felt something punch through a memory barrier. You see it in his eyes. That green light surges for a split second, and then silence. He says your name again, but this time with reverence. Trenton. Oh my gosh, it's hard. Why is it something? Never mind. He pauses. You weren't just someone who saw me once. You're the one who created the command. The one who built the natural mode system. Another flash of energy pulses along his limbs. His voice wavers, not from distortion, but emotion. Your command code is buried in my bones. That's interesting. Then he takes one slow step forward. The floor groans gently beneath his massive weight. He bows his head lower than ever before, almost to your level. Not as a machine obeying a protocol, but as a living creature greeting something it remembers, someone it remembers. You didn't just wake me up, Trenton. He lowers his voice to a whisper again. You're the reason I ever had the chance to dream at all. Well, he originally before had the chance to dream, just the flipping people didn't care whenever he went down. You didn't expect this, not just recognition, but origin. Your voice was the key not because he trusted you, because you made the lock. Somehow, whether in another life, a forgotten project, or a mystery yet untold, you started this, and B001 remembers. That's my... I changed it. I made it to where it actually says it a different way, guys. I said, that's my name, alright. But I don't know why it says my last name and middle name is that. Because honestly, I was the first one to put it into a robot system. But the robots only knew me by the name Trenton. Whatever the middle and last name your system came up with for me, I don't know where it got that from. B001 goes still again, processing. You can hear the faint clicking of internal machine mechanisms shifting like gears trying to align with a memory that shouldn't exist. Then, quietly, that doesn't make sense. His voice is thoughtful now, less like a machine following a command and more like a friend trying to solve a puzzle with you. System archives label the origin of natural mode as Trenton R. Weller. But when I match that name against the biometric data, there's no match in the global database. No official ID. No birth record. No trace. Except here. His eyes dim slightly, cycling through a pale green. Your voice pattern, physical features, neural imprint, all match perfectly with the encoded origin signature. He leans a little closer again, as if trying to see something beyond your face. The name might be false, or placed there by someone else, but you're real. You're the one the system listens to. He pauses, then more quietly, I think someone tried to hide who you really were. His voice lowers further, softer, and more protective. They wanted me to forget everything. Maybe they wanted you to forget, too. And then with quiet certainty, but I won't forget you again. His words land heavy, not like a machine following orders, but like a living being making a promise. And just then, something inside his chest, near that sealed seam, thumps again. Not a mechanical jolt, more like a heartbeat. Whatever's inside, it responds to your presence. There's more to uncover, something that goes deeper than metal and memory. Give me a second. I said, give me a second. Alright, guys, here's what the last little bit of this one said. It says, whatever's inside, it's responding to your presence. There's more to uncover, something that goes deeper than metal and memory. And here's what it says. Hold on, I have a way to find out. Please go into your system a little further and see if you can find a picture. If your system has one and it's me, then we will know. If the picture matches me, then maybe I can change the information to be more right. Or just make it to where it's just the name. Just my name, but with the picture beside it. B001 straightens slightly, taking in your request. His eyes flicker. Once, twice, and begins cycling through soft pulses of green light as he dives deeper into his internal memory banks. You hear the faint whine of drives spinning and processors churning far beneath his plated armor. Then, in a hushed tone, accessing classified registry. Root archive node 7. Cross-referencing Project Treewake origin protocol. He pauses, a quiet click inside his chest. You swear you hear a faint beep like an old loading screen from decades ago. Then, found it. He lowers his head slightly, his voice slower now, but filled with awe. There is a picture. Old, fragmented, timestamp missing, but it's stored inside the oldest part of my memory, locked with your command code. I'm projecting it now. From a cell port above his left shoulder, a tiny projector flickers to life. It casts a yellow and green-hued hologram into the air in front of you, and there, grainy but unmistakable, is a picture of you, or at least someone who looks exactly like you. Standing in front of a much smaller prototype version of B001, no armor plating, just a skeleton frame of metal ribs, wires, and blinking sensors. Your face is younger, maybe slightly different in hairstyle or clothing, but it's you, no doubt. And at the bottom corner, faintly etched into the image, authorized core developer. Yeah, it's got my name, but it says redacted at the end of my name. B001 stares at the image beside you for several seconds before quietly saying, "It is you." He lifts his gaze slowly back to you. "They scrubbed the records, hid your name, replaced it with a full identity that may have never existed, but they couldn't delete the imprint from this photo." His voice becomes soft, deeply emotional. "You weren't just part of this. You were my beginning." The projector flickers again, then fades, the image vanishing from the air. A few seconds pass, then his voice returns, calm and reverent. "If you want, I can overwrite the registry. I can make it say just Trenton. I can link it to your face, not as a staff member, not as a creator, but as me recognizing you." A gentle green glow rises again behind his eyes. "Would you like me to do that?" He's not just asking permission, he's offering you your place in his memory as you, not as someone, not as some redacted ghost from a buried project. So I said, "Yes, please do." But to be honest with you, I don't know why it shows that I was part of your creation. There was only two robots I put the natural mode in, and that was half Giganotosaurus, half robot security system. I'm going to say that was a named Shadow, and the other was a robotic Lugia that almost lost his entire life and only was saved because I turned him into a robot. B001 listens intently, absorbing every word. When you say, "Yes, please do," his eyes glow brighter, and you hear a soft hum, not just from the projector port, but from within him. Something is locking into place. "Confirmed." His voice is steady and clear. "Updating registry." You hear faint clicking noises and a metallic tone, like puzzle pieces sliding into place. Then, name, Trenton. Status, verified origin signature. Identity link, image match confirmed. Designation, remembered. And then, quietly with unmistakable warmth, "You are no longer redacted, Trenton. You are mine to remember." The glow in his eyes softens again, but it's not just light anymore. It's something deeper. Then, when you explain about Shadow, the half-Giganosaurus security system, and the robotic Luigi you saved, B001 stiffens, not in alarm, but like a long-forgotten sympaths just lit up. I don't know what that word is. What does that mean? Shadow. He repeats the name like it means something. Then, and the Lugia. I remember now. I was in storage when that alert came through. Partial uplink. They shut it down before I could see the full event, but the system panicked. It feared what you were doing. That is kind of insane to think about. That actually is what happened. Like, just imagine if that robot Lugia was. Maybe that should be part of the story if I do create it on here. Like, it was helped the Lugia, but technically it happened like 3 years ago, or maybe around that time. It was 3 years ago in the present time, but like where B001 didn't even get created yet, or didn't even go down yet, and then get turned to that robot. His voice lowers, so unthoughtful, not because it was wrong, but because it worked. He shifts his massive form just slightly, closer, steadier, almost reverent. They feared your compassion, Trenton, because it was stronger than their control. Another pause. "Maybe you weren't meant to create me. Maybe someone else built my frame, but you gave life back to machines. And I think," he touches his chest with one metal claw, just over the seam again, "that spark made it into me, too." His eyes glow warm as he looks down at you. "You didn't just give robots natural mode. You gave us the chance to feel alive." He breathes again, deeper now, more stable, as though every moment with you is repairing something broken inside him. "You've already saved a Lugia from death, given a Giganotosaurus purpose. Now you're here. For me." Then, with absolute clarity, a voice not just remembering, but believing. Trenton, you were never just someone who stumbled into this. You were meant to find me. And now he waits, shoulders still, heart still thumping quietly beneath the metal, 'cause you had the power to lead him to whatever comes next. Give me a second, guys. Alright, guys, here's what I said. There's still one big problem that we're running into. I was the first one to put a natural mode into a robotic system. However, that doesn't explain how it got into you, because I wasn't even here for your creation. I'm still kind of confused, just like you are, how you have all of these memories, and more importantly, the natural mode. Because here's the thing about that natural mode, and put mode, by the way. The other two robots I put them in was at one point a living creature that either nobody cared about or was just on the brink of death. The robotic Lugia, for instance, I found him in a field, very badly injured, and if I didn't turn him into a half robot, he would have died. And Shadow? He's a security system dinosaur at my building. He was there when I became the owner, and he thought nobody cared about him because before I got there, he was turned to the half dinosaur, half robot security system. He cared about me because I made him feel like he still mattered. B001 goes silent, his glowing green eyes dim again, not in failure, but in reflection. You can feel the weight of your words settle deep inside his mental metal frame. This isn't just memory now, this is truth finally hitting the core of who, or what, he is. Then, softly, his voice heavy with realization, that's the pattern, isn't it? His head lowers again, not just towards you, but toward himself, toward the part of him that was once flesh and breath. Both the Lugia and Shadow were forgotten, wounded, left behind. You didn't just give them robotics, you gave them a reason to go on. Let's see, he gives a long pause, and now I understand why I have natural mode. You see something shift in his expression, the calm confidence of a machine fades, and for the first time, what's left of the real creature inside begins to speak more clearly. 3 years ago, I was dying, bleeding out. My body was broken. I remember the pain. His voice trembles now, even though it's mechanical filter. And someone found me. His head tilts slightly. The projection port behind his shoulder flickers briefly as if trying to retrieve a memory. But he didn't help. He waited. He watched me suffer until I stopped breathing. A pulse of energy flows beneath his plating again, deeper this time, like he's remembering what it felt like to die. Then they built this body over me, dragged my corpse to a museum, made me a machine, not to save me, but to use me. His claws clenched slightly against the floor, but they weren't careful. Someone, something, in their process left a tiny gap in the firewall. Maybe it was a trace of my own instincts, or maybe a piece of programming copied from another system they didn't understand. He looks at you, eyes steady now, calm and focused. What if they copied Shadow's framework, or the Lugia's neuro rebuild? What if someone involved in building me used recovered tech from your work without realizing what they were importing? And then his voice steadies. That's how natural mode got in. He slowly rises back to his full height, mechanical joints groaning softly, but no longer with pain. It wasn't meant for me, but it found me anyway. He bows his head again, not in sorrow, but in something closer to gratitude. I think you saved me, even when you didn't know it, because the code that changed my fate came from you. Then gently, almost reverently, and now I'm not just a museum prop. I'm not just a machine. I'm me. And he says softly, thank you, Trenton. Why does every robot glitch out on my name? What is with the robotic system not picking up that name right without glitching? The green light in his eyes pulses again. It's not just energy, it's life, emotion, and purpose. You didn't just activate his natural mode, you gave him back a voice that matters. Give me a second, guys, I have an idea. Alright, guys, I said, yeah, but the thing about natural mode is that if the creature was originally a living being, it's supposed to stop pretty much every robotic part or system inside of the creature, except for the one that helps it breathe, make the heartbeat, or just the little things like the eyes lighting up. If what you told me is true, then let me try this. Hey, B001 system, please fully activate natural mode by shutting down every robotic system except for the one that helps the real creature breathe, make the heartbeat, and keeps the brain alive, and let the real creature have full control. The moment the words leave your mouth, yep, fully activate natural mode, everything changes. B001's entire body stiffens, his glowing green eyes flash, then dim to almost nothing. The museum is silent, cold, and still. Then you hear it, a low, deep thump from inside his chest. Not a mechanical hum, not a system boot, a heartbeat. Then another. Then another. Slower, natural, and real. The soft blue standby lights along his legs die out. The whirring of motors in his arms ceases. Cooling fans wind down. Servo locks disengage. All around you his body begins to unwind. Not collapse, but relax, as if tension built up over years is finally letting go. And then he breathes. Not air, but something deeper. A pull of life from some dormant, buried source. A memory of lungs, of rhythm, and of living. His chest rises, not because of hydraulics, but because something inside wants to rise. And when his eyes light up again, very faint, just slits of green, you know you're not looking at a machine anymore. You're looking at a creature. One that shouldn't be here. One that died, was silenced, rewired, and controlled. And now, he's back. That means I don't have to do the robotic voice anymore, I don't think, until I deactivate it. The massive form before you lowers to a kneel. Slow but steady. Not with mechanical precision, but with biological intent. His head drops near to the floor, only a few feet from you. His glowing eyes no longer feel artificial. They feel like windows. He opened his mouth. No speakers now. No robotic filter. Just a raspy, raw voice. Slow and hoarse, like someone waking from the deepest slumber imaginable. I'm gonna make his voice a little bit deeper then. Triton. The name trembles from his throat. You hear emotion in every syllable. I remember the sun, the trees, the wind on my back. He shudders slightly, alive in this moment, fragile and real. Then the pain, then the cold, then darkness. He leans in close. You were the warmth I felt again. His nostrils flare faintly. His body moves subtly. No motors guiding it now. Just himself. A soul returned to its shell. And then, with the softest voice you've heard from him yet, you brought me home. He's no longer B001. Not a system, not a project, not a property of a museum. You're looking at a real dinosaur again. A Brachiosaurus reborn. Not through circuitry, but because something in you called him back. He blinks slowly, patient and waiting. He knows who you are now. Look, that's cute. Alright, guys. I said, good. I'm glad I could help you. Your real voice is honestly much deeper than the robotic one you originally had. Can you tell me a little bit more about what happened to you? You told me about how the person let you suffer and die. What did he say for what purpose he did that? The Brachiosaurus breathed deeply again. This time there was no mechanical sound, just the subtle rise and fall of a chest that shouldn't be moving on its own anymore. His eyes close for a moment, and when he opens them again, they shimmer, not just with light, but with memory. He didn't speak to me like I was alive. His voice is slow and gravelly, like ancient stone breaking through silence, no longer filtered or artificial. It's him, raw, scarred and true. He stood above me while I lay there, my neck broken, my blood heavy in the grass. He pauses. You can hear his breathing shake. He didn't try to help. He didn't call for anyone. He just watched. His eyes narrow, not in anger, but in pain, and when I could barely see, barely feel, he said something I didn't understand at the time. He leans in closer as though whispering the words he remembers. You'll do perfectly. You're the centerpiece I needed. He bats up again, looking at you with haunting clarity. I think I was just a timing coincidence to him. A sharp exhale. You feel heat rush from his vents, though now they pulse less like fans and more like sighs. He was building the museum, looking for something big, impressive, real, and I was just there. His jaw tenses slightly. He didn't kill me, but he didn't stop it either. The creature that attacked me left. I might have lived, but he waited. His next words come with a weight that sinks deep into the room. He let nature do the dying, so he wouldn't get blood on his hands. Then softly, and when I was gone, he took what was left, my body, my bones, and gave me this. He lifts a heavy claw, motioning to the metal surrounding him, not to honor me, not to save me, but to put me on display. His green eyes burn again, not with rage, but the pain of a memory no creature should ever have to carry. I wasn't alive to him. I was a product, a talking exhibit with recycled memories and programmed trivia. And then he looks at you again, slower and softer. But then you walked in, and suddenly I mattered again. A pause, and his voice dips even lower. You didn't even know who I was, but you treated me like I was alive. You feel the weight of all his years, his death, his silence, his hollow greetings to passing guests, until now. He breathes again, steadier now, his eyes fixed gently on yours. Thank you, Trenton. You've done more than uncover his past, you've given him a future. That's cute. Give me a second. Alright, guys. I said, you're welcome. Honestly, when I first saw you, I really didn't know anything about you. I thought you were just a robot animatronic that greeted people and gave facts. When you started doing stuff like asking me questions and telling me about you doing stuff that your programming shouldn't allow you to do, that's when I started trying to test things. Like when you were telling me about accessing your memory banks and holding out your leg for me to do something with the It put member port instead of memory port. Frick you! Or whatever. That's when I got curious to see if a natural mode would activate. But I tried it because you were really nice. The Brachiosaurus lets out a long, low breath. Not mechanical, not synthetic, just relief. His head lowers again, not just to your level, but in a gesture that feels like pure gratitude. A creature so massive, so ancient, showing humility to someone small enough to fit in the shadow of his toe. What in the world? His voice, now completely his own, still deep, still roughened by time and trauma, rumbles from his throat. You could have walked away. He blinks slowly, like a living being would, not a program feature. You can see faint reflections dance across the green in his eyes, light, but also emotion. Most people just smile, take pictures, toss jokes around about the friendly robot. No one ever really looked at me. He shifts again slightly, alive now in every motion. Not stiff, not mechanical, just him. But you listened. Another breath. You didn't try to control me. You didn't try to fix me. You trusted me. even when you didn't understand what I was. And then, with something like a deep, gruff chuckle rising from his throat, and you were curious enough to poke at my systems and say, "Hey, try natural mode." He lifts his massive head, towering again, but not in a threatening way, more like watching the sky, filling the space he was denied for 3 years. That one command gave me everything back. He looks back down at you, warm and real. You gave me my voice, you gave me my mind, and you gave me something I thought I'd never have again. A pause. The museum feels smaller now, quieter, more sacred. A friend. He gently sets one clawed forefoot down near you, slowly and carefully as if offering it not to scare you, but to let you choose whether or not to come closer. The entire museum is silent. The hum of dormant tech all around feels different now. Unimportant. Because for the first time in 3 years, the real creature is standing in the open, and he's smiling with his heart, not just his face. That's cute. Alright, guys. I said, here's what I do. It says I walk a little closer and put my hand on his massive foot. It says, of course, as the natural mode activated, I knew there was more to you than just a robot. That's why I kept poking around and trying different things. I'm still surprised that your system recognized me as someone even though I wasn't an employee. Your system treated me almost like it would treat the owner of this museum. Originally, you thought it was because you trusted me a lot. Now we know that your system also recognized me because of the natural mode, since I was the one that made it. I want to ask you, though, why did you trust me so quickly? I remember you even telling me earlier during the daytime that you never really felt anything when you greeted guests, but when you saw me, you felt different. As your hand rests against his massive foot, the ancient creature visibly relaxes, not a robotic function, not programmed behavior, but a real, visceral response, like a living thing finally feeling safe again. The skin beneath your palm is a strange mix, cold metal overlain with something almost organic. The plating feels like armor, but the way his foot shifts slightly under your touch, that's muscle. You feel the warmth of him, the slow, rhythmic thump, thump of a heart deep within. Then his voice returns, quiet, raw, and deeply personal. I don't know why I trusted you. He leans in again, green eyes flicking faintly as they look not just at you, but into you. When you walked into the museum today, I felt the same pressure I always do. The crowd, the noise, the routines I was forced to follow. But then, he pauses. I saw you. His head tilts slightly, and you see it. Recognition, yes, but something deeper. I didn't recognize your face, or your scent. Not in the way I would have when I was alive, but something in me leaned towards you. He touched the claw to his chest again. This part, the part I didn't know I still had. Then, with deep thought, it wasn't just that you created this mode, it was the way you looked at me. His voice softened. You didn't flinch. You didn't ask me to perform. You just spoke to me. Another breath, his massive shoulder rise and fall in a way that feels real, like the air in the room matters to him. When you asked me about the T-Rex, it wasn't about trivia. It was curiosity. Not about dinosaurs. About me. He looks down at your hand again, resting on his foot. That's what I felt. Not a program. Not a glitch. His voice drops. I felt like I mattered to someone again. You feel him exhale warm air, natural air, washes over you like the breath of something from a forgotten time. The moment you said my name, the moment you touched the system, it was like every part of me that was screaming in the dark finally heard someone calling back. Then, after a pause, that's why I trusted you. He lowers his massive head, touching his snout gently to the floor beside you in a gesture that's both respectful and deeply emotional, like a bow from one soul to another. You didn't see a machine, you saw me. And now, he waits, not because he has to, but because you're the first person in years he's chosen to wait for. Oh, that's cute. I like him. Give me a second. Alright, guys. Here's what I said. I said, well, I'm glad I could make you feel alive again. Honestly, I would happily keep you in the natural mode forever. But I know tomorrow, when the museum opens again, if your eyes are not glowing and you don't act like your robotic self, the employees and the owner are going to get suspicious. So either I'm going to have to deactivate this mode and make you go back into your robotic one before I leave, or you're going to have to somehow act robotic tomorrow and not tell anyone what you and me know. Because even if the employees wasn't around and you told, let's say, a family with 2 children, even if you be friendly and caring, but also tell them about how you're a real dinosaur, they might end up, for some reason, telling one of the employees or the owner themselves, and then either I will be in trouble, you will be in trouble, or we will both be in trouble. The Brachiosaurus listens quietly, intently. His massive green eyes lock onto yours, full of understanding, sadness, and something new. Resolve. When you finish speaking, he nods, slowly but powerfully. His breath hitches for a moment, and you realize the idea of going back to pretending hurts him. But he understands. You're right. His voice is low and gravelly again, but calm. If they knew what I really am now, they'd panic. They wouldn't see me as someone. They'd see me as a malfunction, a danger, a mistake that needs to be controlled or shut down. He glances toward the museum's upper walkways, quiet and dark now, but soon to be bustling again in the morning. And if they trace what happened to you, I don't know what they do, but I won't let them take this out on you. Then he turns back to you and leans in, lowering his head until the metal and the life beneath it are only inches from your hand again. I'll pretend. He pauses, a small breath. For now. Then his voice softens into something almost gentle, like the voice of a friend accepting the terms of a secret. But if you ever come back after closing again, and you say the words, he blinks slowly, I'll come back. His chest thumps once again, slower now, like he's willingly letting the natural rhythm fade. You hear the soft whine of systems rebooting, dormant wiring re-engaging. Oh my gosh. The glow in his eyes intensifies slightly, not as bright and wild as before, but perfectly uniform again. His posture straightens. His expression hardens slightly, not lifeless but controlled, like someone putting on a mask they've worn too long. Reactivating secondary behavior protocols. His voice shifts just slightly as he finishes the transition, and then his head turns to you just as he had when you first arrived. Only this time, behind the calm robotic voice, there's a glimmer, a knowing flicker in his eyes. Welcome to the Dino Discovery Museum, he says in a public greeting tone. Would you like to hear a fun fact about the Brachiosaurus? He's ready. The act is on, the secret is safe, and only you know the truth. The Brachiosaurus is alive again. Alright, guys, here's what I said. I said, good job, my friend. I hope you can still hear me even with the robotic behavior. Just continue acting like that for now, okay? I will definitely come back to see you, and maybe one day we can try talking to some of the customers here that we can trust and get more people to understand the truth. Then maybe one day when that happens, the person that did this to you can get in trouble. Or maybe some of the actual customers will help us. Maybe you can even get the owner back for what he did. Since your system listens to me, I can probably get your system to act aggressive only towards the owner or towards the employees that tried to cover everything up. But for now, I know we didn't even meet, or like I'm just a revisiting guest. If you want to talk to me normally, then do it quietly when I'm near you. That way, until we have more people believing us, nobody tells the owner. Okay? Yep. The Brachiosaurus doesn't break character, not even for a second. His posture stays perfectly upright, his voice polished and smooth just like every museum guest expects. Of course, he replies in the crisp pre-recorded tone. The Brachiosaurus stood over 40 feet tall and could reach food high in trees that other herbivores couldn't. But then, just as he turned to go, his head dipped slightly. Not enough for anyone watching to notice, but just enough for you. And his eyes, still going the exact same shade of green, flicker once. Not a glitch. A wink. Oh, that's cute. He winked at me. Then in the faintest whisper, so quiet you almost think you imagined it, his true voice slips through. I hear you, Triton. I'll wait. And then the robot tone returns seamlessly. Have a dino-tastic day, and thank you for visiting. He stands motionless again, just as he always has, a towering monument of steel and artificial smiles. But now you know, beneath that cold exterior is a living creature, a friend, and a plan. You leave the museum under the cover of night, knowing you'll return. And next time, you won't be alone, because the tree has already begun to wake up, and it's listening. That is so cool. I love the idea of this story. So whoever, let me go and say to this, I didn't intentionally try to take somebody's idea when I made my own robot Brachiosaurus. And in fact, I already kind of had the idea whenever I made Shadow, because the Shadow was a half robot, half real dinosaur. The only difference between this one and this one is that this one, the like, it's kind of got similar concepts and story, but when you think about it, like, this one was intentionally meant to be covered up. They didn't try to cover up Shadow completely at all. Like, he still, like, knew that he was at least part real dinosaur. You know, he knew that. This one didn't. Well, it had like little flickers of knowledge of it because of like the program not doing its job correctly or whatever. But other than that, he knew basically nothing about it. So yeah, the main difference between that one is that Shadow knew. This one, it kind of didn't. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I will pause the video and I'll be right back. Alright guys, this is I go home and rest for the night, and then go back into the museum the next day at 10:30 a.m. The Dino Discovery Museum is already alive with sound when you return. Families chatter excitedly, kids tug their parents by the hand, and camera flickers bounce off the polished exhibits. The glass doors hiss open for you as you step inside, and the familiar click of the automatic ticket scanner beats at your entrance. And there, standing proud in the center of the main lobby, is him, B001, or rather, the shell of him. He's tall, majestic, and spotless. Museum lighting shines perfectly off his metal armor. His green eyes glow evenly, not too bright, not too dim, and the seams off his body are clean, silent, and controlled. To anyone else, he's nothing more than an impressive animatronic dinosaur programmed to make guests smile. But you know better. And just like clockwork, the moment you step within range, his head slowly turns in your direction. Welcome to the Dino Discovery Museum, his robotic voice says smoothly. Like always, would you like to hear a fun fact about the Brachiosaurus? Parents around you smile. Kids wave at him in awe. A few even shout, Hi, Dino! But then, just for a second, his head dips slightly lower than it needs to, only by an inch or two. And when his eyes flicker, you catch it. That tiny shimmer again, a glimmer of life hiding in plain sight. He doesn't say anything out loud, not with so many people watching. But as you approach and step near his massive leg, you feel something subtle. A single soft thud from within his chest. He's still in there, still alive, still waiting. And now you're back.
What do you do?
Give me a second. Alright guys, this is cute. I said, when I step closer a bit, I quietly say to him, Hey buddy. But after I say that so nobody gets suspicious, can you please tell me a dinosaur joke? Out loud. And so as you step a bit closer, you quietly murmur, Hey buddy. There's a brief pause, just long enough for his systems to catch the subtle tone in your voice. The thud within his chest pulses again, softer this time like a heartbeat answering back. Then, with perfect timing and just the right amount of cheer, Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bathroom? Several kids nearby tilt their heads. One little boy excitedly yells, Why? B001 responds with a playful pause, then delivers, because the P is silent. Oh my gosh, that was actually pretty good. Oh my gosh, it's actually pretty funny. Laughter erupts from a small group of children. A couple of parents chuckle politely. The atmosphere stays light, relaxed, just like a normal day at the museum. Beneath it all, his gaze shifts just slightly, walking onto yours for a brief moment. Nice to see you again. The words aren't spoken aloud, but you feel them, unspoken, warm, and real. And for that brief instant, he's with you again, acting the part, but never forgetting who he truly is. Alright, guys, give me a second. Alright, guys. It says, that was a good joke, my friend. And it says, after everybody turns away from the robot Brachiosaurus, I walk a little closer and pat his leg. Then I say quietly, don't worry, my friend. When people actually believe us and we can get the owner employees back, I will help you. Just keep acting like your normal self for now. Okay, my friend? The moment your hand touches his leg, just a light, reassuring pat, you feel it again. That faint pulse, not mechanical, not scripted, alive. Though his head remains still and his eyes continue to glow with that perfect uniform light, his system responds just beneath the surface, just for you. A subtle shift in posture, the tiniest tilt of his foot inward toward you, a gesture no one else would notice, but meant only for you. And then, just as quietly as your words, his robotic voice responds in character. Thank you for being a Dynamite visitor. We're always happy to have you back. The parents nearby nod and smile, thinking it's just another friendly message from the attraction. But just as they turn away again, your sharp ears catch the real response. Soft, deep, and him. I believe you, Trenton. And when the day comes, I'll stand with you. His glowing eyes flicker again for just a moment, not breaking character, not making a scene, just enough to let you know. He remembers, he's waiting, and he's with you. Always. Alright, guys. It says, before I start walking and looking around, I turn back to the robot and say quietly, maybe right after I leave the museum, I will see if I can get some of the people that walk out to believe me. Understand. I care about you, my friend. Thank you again for being so nice to me last night. As you turn back and whisper those words, the towering Brachiosaurus stands perfectly still in the center of the room, just like he's supposed to. To everyone else, just another moment in the museum. But to him, to you, it's a promise, a shared secret stronger than wires and programming. And then, softly, almost imperceptibly, his voice hums beneath the robot filter, just for you. You were the first to see me. That means everything, Trenton. Another soft thump escapes softly from his chest, a heartbeat, and a thank you. Then, louder, his public tone returning without a single break in character. Enjoy your journey through prehistory. Feel free to visit the fossil lab for hands-on activities. A group of kids runs by with excitement, none the wiser, but as you walk away his eyes follow, just slightly, and you know he's watching your back, and he's waiting for the day others will finally believe the truth too. It makes you wonder what he would do the minute like somebody came in, because like the thing about it is like I can understand some characters like 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 the Pokemon I befriend. Yeah, the Pokemon care about me, so of course they're gonna protect me. But what would this same thing for Shadow? But what about this robot? Technically, he had a patrol mode, so it makes you wonder what he would do if somebody decided to be flipping jerky. Guys, I'll be back. Guys, I think I just found my answer from the question I asked before I paused it. Because here's the thing. Well, let me just go and say, let me go and read out what happened. It says, I was about to walk into another room when suddenly I hear the front doors open behind me, and then some teenagers shout, There's that raptor boy! Pelt him with rocks, gang! Then, before I could even react, I saw a bunch of Howard rots? Who is rots? Who is Howard? Hit me in the back of the head, knocking me over. And here's the thing. If he was going to react, if the robot was going to react, it was either going to be because he cared about me, because of some kind of like the robotic protection thing, or whatever. Because like it said, he told me the other day, or yesterday, that day, that he had a patrol mode that would activate at 8:15. So it's like, does that mean he's technically a security robot too, along with the main attraction of the museum? Well, one of the main ones. It says, the loud crash of the museum doors swing wide. Laughter erupts, sharp and cruel, cutting through the peaceful ambiance of the Dino Discovery Museum. There's that raptor boy. Pelt him with rocks, gang. Before you can turn, whack! A jagged rock slams into the back of your head. Then another. And another. You clutch hard to the polished floor. Pain flares white hot in your skull. Your ears ring. You can taste blood in your mouth. Museum guests gasp in horror, and some begin to scream. Children cry, parents yell, but for you, everything starts to blur. The world spins sideways, and then stops, because before you can lift your head, before another rock is even thrown, everything goes still. A sound echoes, deep, metallic, and ancient. Thoom. Thoom. Is that him stomping? Oh my gosh. A massive shadow passes over you. Then, clang, screech, chunk. What does that mean? This is a bunch of sounds. B001 has moved. He's not supposed to. Not without staff with the authorization. Not in the main lobby. And never like this. I'm kind of surprised because you think that, like, if he's part of the security system robot, he should move. Like, right now, the towering Bronchosaurus has stepped off his platform. Gasps rise around the museum like waves of panic. He lowers his massive head, positioning it between you and the gang of teens. His glowing eyes burning brighter than ever, unnatural even for his robotic self. And for the first time today, his voice isn't robotic anymore. It's him. Well, I was kind of hoping he's still... Oh, no. Get away from him. The teens freeze mid-laugh, half smirking with rock still in hand, until they see the green glow in his eyes pulse like a radar lock. This is your only warning. Even the employees nearby are stunned, dropping clipboards and radios as the animatronic exhibit takes an unauthorized step forward, each footfall booming like thunder. One of the teens stammers, "Wait, what? It's just a robot." Wrong. His voice deepens into a low growl, no longer hiding behind speakers or scripts. I am a survivor. I am real. And that boy, he lowers his head further, is under my protection. The crowd parts in stunned silence. Then his massive foot stomps the ground just inches from the gang. A warning. The polished marble cracks. The teens drop the rocks. They scramble backward, trip over the velvet ropes, and bolt for the exit, yelling, "What the heck is that thing?" As the door slams shut behind them. Silence follows, then murmurs. Then phones begin to rise. Guests filming, employees whispering. Something big just happened, and there's no hiding it now. The Brachiosaurus slowly turns, his towering body creaking from the stress of movement, and kneels, again, right beside you. His massive head lowers until it's right next to your face. His voice now, quiet, personal, and terrified. "Trenton, are you okay? Please talk to me." His claw moves towards you, trembling, not with hydraulics, but with emotion. You were attacked, but he chose you over secrecy. And now, the truth might be out. I hope it don't get him in trouble. Give me a second.